All right, so I am out again today, guys, which was obviously not the plan, but I do want to kind of reflect on what you guys were supposed to have learned on Monday as you were going through the simulation. And then today you're going to take a look at your personal contribution to kind of pollution and your carbon footprint. So, looking at the sim yesterday, you investigated population size and combustion and how that impacted our carbon dioxide emissions. And combustion, again, is using vehicles and things like that to release the carbon dioxide within our environment. And then you also looked at population size and livestock and how that impacted the methane release in our atmosphere. Because we know if both of those things, one or the other, increase, we're going to see that increase in energy in our system because less energy is exiting. Okay, so looking first at carbon dioxide, and we have our population. I am going to speed it up just for the sake of our video. We saw that no matter what, our population size is going up, and therefore carbon dioxide is going up. But when we crank it up, we really see that carbon dioxide increase. And when we drop it down, we see it kind of level off and start to drop as well, but it does take some time to kind of recoup. So on your worksheet, you should have told me, with no change to the population, your carbon dioxide emissions were increasing. When you put population to the lowest setting or you decreased it, you should have said kind of leveled off or it decreased. And then when you increase that population, you should have said that it increased greatly. And then also with carbon dioxide, we were looking at the combustion. And again, that's people using transportation, cars, kind of burning of those fossil fuels and how that's releasing carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. So if we don't change anything, it kind of remains stable, maybe increasing a little bit. When we drop it down all the way and we have none, it just kind of stables out there. We might start to see a decrease, but it does again take some time. And then when we crank it up, we're going to see, and let's speed it up again, we're going to see that increase. So when looking at your worksheet from yesterday, you should have told me that with no change to combustion, kind of maintain, maybe decreased or increased a little bit, when you decreased combustion, it kind of leveled out and then it started dropping. And when you increased combustion, then we definitely saw an increase in the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. So moving on and looking at methane, again, when we have more people, we should see more. When we have less people, we should see less. But let's take a look at it. So again, we'll speed it up. So methane is increasing. When we crank the population up, we continue to see that methane increase. When we crank the population all the way down, we see it kind of level out and a little bit of a decrease, but definitely takes, again, that time to recoup. So on your worksheet, looking at population size and methane, with no change to population, we saw an increase in methane. When we decreased population, we saw a leveling out, a small decrease in methane. And then when we cranked it up, we definitely saw an increase in methane. And so now for livestock, our last bit here, livestock are all the animals, cattle, chickens, all the food that we are growing for our consumption, for us to eat. More people means we need to grow more livestock. So let's take a look at what this one looks like. When we make no change to livestock, we're going to see an increase in that methane level. When we have no livestock, it maintains and then starts to decrease. And then when we crank that livestock up, we definitely see it start to climb back up and increase. If you got this on your screen yesterday, this maximum carbon dioxide or maximum methane or whatever, it just means that our sim couldn't handle anymore. It really didn't mean anything else for you guys that you needed to worry about. All right, so that's what you should have gotten from our simulation yesterday. And what you're going to continue to look at today is we're going to be looking at kind of the world population and where we're seeing areas that are having higher amounts of carbon dioxide in their environment, and then specifically what you're going to do. I want to go through this video with you guys when I come back. Hopefully I'll be back on Wednesday. And what this video is just kind of showing is comparing that population growth. It's that same website that we had used before with our world population, and we had watched the video going into it. But really what we're able to do is look at population growth on this map, as well as overlapping and putting our CO2 emissions on there. I want to do that with you guys. But what we'll see is those areas that have higher rates of population also have higher rates of CO2. So we'll talk more about that hopefully on Wednesday. But what you guys are going to do today is you're going to use this website, Carbon Footprint Calculator, and you're going to go through a series of questions to find different bits of information about yourself. So you should have a half sheet of paper in front of you. Make sure your name is at the top of it. And it goes through, once you get to the end is when you're going to start filling this in. You're not going to fill it in prior. If you got one of the worksheets that starts counting at 4, 5, 6, and then you have 6 again, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, as opposed to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's just the formatting. So don't worry about it. Just go in order. But you're going to open up the website, and you just have a bunch of questions that are being asked. Not all of them are going to be specifically to exactly what you're doing. For example, when I look at this first question here, kind of food you eat most of the time, I do cheese, I do veggies, I do fruits, I do meat, but I'm not having meat at every single meal. So you kind of have to pick which one best fits you. So for me, because I do want meat on here, I'm going to say I want meat for every homemade meal. We don't eat fast food at restaurants all the time. So pick ones that are closest to you. How do you get to school every day? If some days you walk, some days you get a ride, some days you take the bus, pick the one that you do most regularly. So I understand no one drives me to school, but that's the one that fits for me. We drive everywhere, and just kind of go through, you're going to just kind of pick the ones that work for you guys. If you're not sure, again, do the best you can with your guessing. I always shut the water off. I don't know if I have an electric lawnmower or a push mower. I believe I have a push mower. I hope you guys take showers regularly. So you're just going to click through. I'm going to just keep fake clicking now. And so you're going to get to the screen that says results, but there's nothing posted right here. Don't skip this screen though. Down here is where it says things you can do to lower your footprint. That's the first thing you need to put on your paper. So things to do to reduce your carbon footprint. I'm asking for you to put 3 on here. As you go through and you read them, pick 3 that are going to be the most realistic. If you know your family is never going to go camping, don't put that one down there. If you think that you could carpool with friends instead of getting an individual ride each day. So I want you to pick 3. Then you're going to do this. Want to find your actual carbon footprint number? Click here. Again, you have a series of questions. If you're not sure, blah, 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 just keep clicking, okay? By the time you are done, you're going to get to a screen that looks like this that says your annual carbon footprint. That's the number you're going to put right here. My annual carbon footprint is, I would write down 13.85 tons, okay? And so it does answer this question, why do Americans have such high levels of carbon pollution? That's their next question that's on here. My carbon emissions place me, that's this number over here. I'm in the top 22% of the world in terms of my carbon emissions. Excuse me. If everyone lived like you, how many Earths would we need? I always get nervous about this question. Now, remember, I faked some of these answers, but I would need 2.8 Earths if everybody lived like me. That's not good. And then you see how many trees would you need to plant to offset your carbon. We are going to talk more about the fact that trees are wonderful because of the fact that they take in that carbon and clean our atmosphere for us. But I would need 144 trees. And then finally, at the bottom of your page, it says your carbon footprint is blank percent of the average. That is in here somewhere. There you go. Your carbon footprint is 266% of the average. So go through, answer your questions, have a little bit of fun with it, see where you kind of land and end up. And then we'll talk more about this on Wednesday. I do want you to hold on to this half sheet of paper. At this point, there are so many papers that are put in the turn-in tray. We can't keep track of them all. So please put this half sheet of paper in your folder, and we will talk about it on Wednesday. Like I said, hopefully I will be back. But otherwise, behave, be good. Those of you who have emailed me with questions and statements about missing work and things like that, I will take care of them when I return. I just don't have access to all of them right now. So once I'm back at school, I will update grades, but I will have all grades updated by the end of the week. So no one's going to get penalties if you have sent me an email about your work. Okay. Otherwise, if you need anything, shoot me an email. Miss Hubley will be popping in, and hopefully I will see you guys on Wednesday.